2 times for the win. Salute to all the diehards. This is Die Hard Giants Live, and I am your host. I am Jarrell on IG and Twitter. The Giants won a game. They thought we wasn't going to get it, but we did. Went into the Browns to open up a can of whoop ass on the Browns. I loved every minute of it except for the opening kickoff, but we'll talk about that. I got Steph in the background. Let me get Steph in here. What up, Steph? We won, yes.
Yeah, and it was actually a really good game, except for the start of the game. Not only was it what was it? It was an interception, right?
The start of the game was the opening. We fumbled the opening kickoff.
Right. Not only was it a fumble, I don't know how many seconds left. The first half, touchdown. I said, these mofos.
Some people didn't even see the fumble and didn't see the touchdown. That's how fast it happened.
If you was late getting your wings from the kitchen to the living room, you missed it.
You should have heard the amount of curse words that was coming out of my living room when Eric Gray fumbled that ball, man. But first and foremost, let me shout out everybody in the chat. First one, Tony Crow, Nixon Bruises. Salute, my man Dwayne. Salute. Wonder Woman is in the house. Salute. Kareem, my man. Salute. Well, I think that's it for now. So salute to everybody watching live. Salute to anybody that's going to be watching on the replay game. We're going to talk about a Giants win. That's great. Like, we won a game. I did not think we was going to win this game. A lot of people didn't think we were going to win this game. I think the spread was, I think it was maybe like 5 or 6 points for the Browns, because especially since they was in Cleveland. But it didn't happen that way. So let's get it. Welcome to the Huddle, Week 3. Giants win 21-15. Eric Gray, our backup, or third string running back, depending on where you count Tyrone Tracy in this situation. Eric Gray is our starting kick returner. He was our kick returner last year too, even though they didn't really have kickoffs, so he was kind of useless back there. He received punts last year also, so he has experience in this. But after all the turmoil that the New York Giants have been going through, he takes the ball out of the end zone and fumbles it on the first play of the game. And then the Cleveland Browns, on the first play of their offense, throws a touchdown. Deshaun Watson throws a touchdown to Amari Cooper. And to be honest, Amari Cooper was treating Deontay Banks pretty bad over there all game. Like, he was teaching him receiving route lessons. And, those are the breaks when you have a young corner, and a young corner has to be like the number one guy. Him in his second year, and Amari Cooper is one of the best route runners in the league. So I understand, where he's coming from. Like, he's a second year player. He has to guard or pick up the best wide receiver on every team. We're going to talk about him versus CeeDee Lamb a little bit later. But let's talk about that Giants offense, because after the Cleveland Browns scored their first touchdown, Daniel Jones actually went to work, Steph. How'd you like Danny Dimes this week?
I loved him. I don't think he made any mistakes. Passer rating of 125.2, and from what I read, I got my notes. I did some homework. on this.
I like that.
That this was his highest passer rating since week 17 against the Colts in 2022. I thought he was good. I thought he had good pocket presence. I thought he made good decisions. Now, that one ball he threw up to Neighbors, where looked like he was on the verge of getting sacked, but I mean, it was still an accurate ball. It was still in the vicinity. It still gave him an opportunity to get it, and we'll get to Neighbors later. You could throw him 50-50 balls.
We definitely gonna get the neighbors a little bit later. I got his own personal slide this week because he out here breaking records. But
Yes, he is.
Daniel Jones for me, he's played a very good game 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
There's nothing to really, he didn't look like Dan Marino in either game, but
Right.
to be a serviceable quarterback, starting quarterback in the NFL, like Daniel Jones actually looked, he didn't, I don't think he looked like he did like his rookie year, like the flashes that you see of brilliance.
Right.
But it's almost like he's not messing it up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I actually think that is a little bit of problem with his his deep ball accuracy. I'm not sure it's because like the multiple neck injuries that he have, or it could just be like a timing thing with Neighbors being a rookie wide receiver. Jalen Hyatt is only his second year, but his deep ball accuracy isn't the same. But other than that, Daniel Jones played not perfect
Right.
but he was pretty good. Like he was really a serviceable quarterback, and he didn't look like he should be replaced, even though
But this is the problem. And I was thinking about this Monday. I'm like, all right, the Giants won, and we beat Dallas. Now we 2-2. Now the next thing you know, everything is going to change when it comes to Daniel Jones. And I just think it's year 6. We already know what it is. In my opinion, it doesn't matter what he does this season. I just think it's time to move on. But that being said, he did look good. I also wonder with the deep ball accuracy with the was it the Achilles?
no, he tore his ACL last
It
year.
was the ACL.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
He still got a plant.
yeah.
Legs matter. Legs matter when it comes to these throws also.
So maybe that has something to do with it.
I think it's a confidence thing too. Like he's been. I'm pretty sure they're drilling his head the turnovers. But the last 2 games he hasn't turned the ball over at all. He's playing pretty good ball. It had pretty good passer ratings each of the last 2 games, even though we lost the Commanders game.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones also, I believe this might be the first time he's ever thrown 2 touchdowns with no turnovers 2 games in a row in his career. So this being his 6th season, that's actually saying something. So
yeah. And the first time he's done it with 0 turnovers in his NFL career.
Yep. 0 turnovers. That's the main thing. He doesn't have to, like I say, doesn't have to be Joe Montana or Dan Marino back there. I don't expect him to be throwing the ball like 50 times a game and getting 400 yards and 5 touchdowns like Patrick Mahomes. We just need him to be a serviceable quarterback. We need to, play action, give the ball to Malik Neighbors. We're going to definitely talk about him, like I said. Keep targeting him. I just wish we can get like maybe the tight ends involved more. Jalen Hyatt has been pretty much non-existent. He doesn't even seem like he can get on the field. But
do you think that has a lot to do with the fact that Daniel Jones can't throw the deep ball, or his deep ball accuracy is not there for whatever reason? Because Hyatt, he's basically a runner. Like he's, can we take advantage of him if Daniel Jones is not throwing the deep ball? Like, can he play in the slot? Can he do short routes?
See, he could play in the slot, but you could even throw deep from the slot because that's where Malik Neighbors has been playing a lot also. I actually think Malik Neighbors, he can flourish in the slot. Like there are a lot of big slots in the league now, and a lot of wide receivers that put up big numbers play the slot position now. Justin Jefferson plays a lot of the slot. CeeDee Lamb in the slot. Cooper Kupp slot. Puka Nacua last year's Rookie of the Year slot. So some of the best wide receivers aren't outside boundary wide receivers.
Right.
It's not like it used to be when just the little guy was the slot receiver or your third wide receiver on the depth chart. They actually got big guys out there, and good coaches can design plays that you can get the slot open downfield somehow. But Daniel Jones actually missed 1 deep ball to Jalen Hyatt last game. He missed another deep ball to Darius Slayton the game before that versus the Commanders. They haven't connected yet, but at least he takes about 1 or 2 shots a game.
Right.
Other than that, I don't see. I don't know. I don't see like a path forward with him actually completing those balls consistently. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because the wide receivers are actually getting separation. I think it's just him. A lot of it is timing. We can't blame the offensive line anymore because the offensive line is actually playing awesome.
Right.
Um, but yeah, Daniel Jones is still Daniel Jones. He is just not, he's not terrible. Let's just say
Right.
that.
Right.
Devin Singletary, 16 carries for 65 yards and a touchdown. Um, I actually think he's been serviceable as well.
Mhm.
But I also think if Tom Coughlin was the head coach, he'd have put him in the freezer for like the next 2 games because he's fumbled the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Fumbling for a running back is a very, very bad thing. You can get in the doghouse with a coach, but I think Ryan Dable completely trusts Devin Singletary. He had him in Buffalo. I think Brian Dable is really the reason that Devin Singletary is here now to replace Saquon Barkley. So I don't see, and plus we don't have like a second back to just take his place like that. We drafted a running back in the 5th round, Tyrone Tracy. He looks pretty good, but you could tell he's still just raw and he's not ready to be a starting running back in the NFL yet. So Devin Singletary is going to be the primary ball carrier for this team, whether he fumbles or not. Um, I don't want to get too crazy. He can't just be fumbling every week, but these last 2 fumbles, I don't think he's in the doghouse like he would be if he was being coached by somebody else because of the trust factor. Now to Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, 8 receptions, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I actually got a player spotlight from Malik Neighbors. He is the first player in NFL history with 20 plus receptions, 250 plus receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns. Like he has 23 and 271 on the year.
Mhm.
He's the first person in NFL history to have those type of numbers combined in the first 3 games. And combine that with him only being 21 years old,
Mhm.
he could be the youngest to do everything pretty much this year.
Yeah.
So he's been a highlight for us on offense. He's obviously our best player. He's replaced Saquon Barkley in numerous ways, even though they play different positions. But the only thing now is that now that they have 3 games of tape on him. Now the double teams are going to come. Defensive coordinators are going to be focused on Malik Neighbors more than anything now, like because nobody else has really done anything on this offense.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, Cleveland, from what I understand, don't usually um, have their secondary follow a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And in the second half, that's what they did with Neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to be getting that attention week in and week out.
Yep. Ward, the
Boy.
Ward that they have over there is an All-Pro corner.
Mhm.
Makes the Pro Bowl damn near every year, and he shadowed Malik Neighbors in the second half. That could be part of the reason that we didn't really do much in the second half, even though Cleveland didn't either because of our defense. I'll talk about them a little later. But that first half, though, they needed to get it together because Malik Neighbors was killing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couldn't nobody guard him, man. Like the 50-50 ball that you said that Daniel Jones
Mhm.
on the sideline, Moss, somebody just reached right over his head and grabbed it.
Right.
It looked like it was going to be intercepted. And he actually played defensive back and just snatched it out of his hands.
Right.
So Malik Neighbors is special, man. I have a short video of Brian Dable talking about Malik Neighbors. I mean, it's only about a minute long. Figure we give Malik some burn tonight.
To do it this seemingly easily and quickly as a rookie, especially in this market, isn't something that we always see.
Yeah, again, I think he's confident in his skill set. Uh, I'm confident in his skill set. We spent a lot of time with him leading up to the draft, and then you really get to know him throughout OTAs and mini camps and training camp, which he, excelled in those areas. And I have a lot of confidence in him. So, I think we target him a fair amount. but I think he's earned that. He's earned the right to have those opportunities. And look, one game it might, I don't know, he's had 30 the past 2 weeks, I think, but um, there'll be adjustments throughout a game where things are happening, and um, everybody's going to have to be dialed in. But his mindset, he's a competitive young man that is just a football player. So glad we got him.
So you can see, Brian Dable, it's not like, he has favorites because you're not really supposed to, but you can tell that Malik Neighbors is his guy. Um, During the Hard Knocks in the offseason, you could tell that he really wanted Malik Neighbors. He was his guy on the board, and he was ecstatic when they picked him. Malik Neighbors is going to be special, and it all depends on what quarterback in the future will be throwing him the ball. Salute to Dwayne. Dwayne said if Shador comes out, I want him for Neighbors. I think Shador is definitely coming out. Technically, I don't think he has to, but I think he's, there's nothing left in college that he can prove, especially in Colorado with the talent that's surrounding him, especially his offensive line. If he spends another year in Colorado, he's just going to be beat up for another year because their offensive line isn't really that good. And it's kind of hard with the NIL in college, and it's kind of hard to just be piecing together offensive lines every season with no camaraderie or anything like that. When you got 19, 20, 21-year-olds trying to, be a unit, it's almost impossible to do for a young program like that. Deion Sanders is only his second year coaching there. I don't think next year Shador will be there. Both Sanders kids are going to come out. Shiloh is a senior. Technically, Shador, I believe, is a junior, but I think he's coming out. Do I expect the Giants to pick him, though? That's another story. I really don't see it just because of storylines and the way that our owner usually is.
We got to change, though.
I would hope. See, this is not me speaking if I was the owner, yes, Shador Sanders will be definitely on my radar. A couple other kids I like too. Cam Ward out of Miami went to Washington State last season. I really like him too. I actually put him and Shador kind of neck to neck with each other. If you actually watch them throw the ball, both of them are the arm talent and the toughness is there from both of them. But if to me, the way the Giants operate, I see them picking Cam Ward before I see them picking Shador. Just because of the personality and the way the New York media is, it would be a complete circus if Shador landed in New York. I really don't see him coming to an organization like this. I see him, even though he's not going to end up in Dallas because Dallas just re-upped Dak. I could see him in Dallas, maybe with the Raiders, Miami, because Tua keeps getting hurt. But if we did draft Shador, I'll be elated, I'll be happy, but I'd be kind of shocked.
He's flamboyant like his dad?
No. That's saying something. I don't think anybody's as flamboyant as his dad. And Deion Sanders was actually my favorite player growing up, so I kind of know him pretty well.
What is it?
Very, very outgoing. Definitely not afraid to speak his mind. That's what it is. It's not the flamboyantness, even though that's there too. He's a little show offy, but most kids his age are now with social media and stuff, showing the watch and the celebrations and stuff like that. But Shador is the type of kid that you would never see him get in trouble. He doesn't have any type of off-season drama or trouble or anything usually. I think Deion said that his nickname was Grown as he was coming up because even though he's the youngest out of all the kids, he's the youngest boy. I mean, he's just more mature than everybody. He's always been that way. I think that was part of the reason he became a quarterback when his other two sons were defensive backs, just like Deion was. Shador didn't want to be like his father.
Right.
So So now let's talk about this defense. I got another slide for them too because they opened up a can of whoop ass on Deshaun Watson that day. Hold on, I need to get some other stats here because I do have, like, I have Dexter Lawrence because I always highlight 3 players. These aren't the only 3 players that did anything, like, by far. Like, Brian Burns actually got his first sack. I don't have him how many pressures he had up here, but I think he had like 7 or 8 pressures. Dexter Lawrence had like 7, 2 sacks. Jason Pinnock had his 3rd sack of the year, even though we haven't been blitzed that much. But the defense has been really, really good. And Deshaun Watson looked like a shell of himself. He did not look the same, but that's not our problem. That's the Browns' problem.
I was about to say some of that was the Giants' defense, and some of that was Deshaun Watson.
And a lot of that was his offensive line, too. Like, they've always had a good offensive line. I do believe they looked like us last year because they had like 3 of their starters were on the offensive line. But, ain't no excuse to football. We had to go through it last year. So he got to go through it now.
He got to go through it. Brian Burns was, I don't know how you feel about the PFF, but he was the top rated. He had the top rated, the top ranking in PFF for the Giants defense.
Yep.
9.7.
I know our rookie Elijah Chapman was high on the PFF list.
6. Third. He was 3rd on the offense. Nice.
Yeah. So I remember, because I did see some of the PFF stuff, and I do follow. For anybody that likes PFF, PFF actually has a dedicated Giants page on Twitter. I think it's like PFF Giants or something like that, or Giants PFF. But they do have a dedicated page for every team in the NFL. So I follow them, and they're a very, very good follow. If you like that type of stuff, analytical numbers, it really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day, but it just shows you, like, your players compared to other players in the league. That's all. If you don't watch every game.
Right. And what's better, the quarterback rating or the PFF rating? Because Daniel Jones didn't get a great PFF rating, 49.7.
Well, passer rating, I don't know, passer rating is kind of funky too. Like, no normal person knows how to calculate that either. Okay. Like, I don't know how they calculate passer rating at the end of the day. Because you can have a perfect passer rating with, like, incompletions and stuff. So I don't really get that. Like, I don't know anybody that calculates that on their own, like sitting at home. But, we know that Daniel Jones played well at the end of the day. Right. So with the defense, I got the defense up here, man. Instead of a player spotlight, I did a whole team spotlight because they hit him a lot. 36 pressures, 8 sacks, 2 fumbles. They were the best defense in the NFL on Sunday. Wow. Those are all first place numbers. It's almost, I don't know what to say. Like we haven't seen our defense play like that this year. We didn't see them play like this last year.
Right. But I think it was a lot of pride, though, because they really stunk it up the first 2 games of the series. It was like, especially not 2 games of the year, especially last week. So I think, man to man, they was like, look, we don't have to get ourselves together. And they came out and, like you said, the sacks, the pressures, the hurries, the fumble recovery, they looked like they knew what they were doing.
Right. Let me try to read off some of the hold on. I got my other, because I didn't want to just highlight those other 3 players. I want to highlight some other players too. So with all the sacks, like Dexter Lawrence had 2, Jason Pinnock had 1. Like I said before, Elijah Chapman had his first sack of his rookie season, I should say. Brian Burns had a sack. Kayvon, Bobby Okereke had half sacks. Micah McFadden had a half sack. Somebody else had a half sack.
Did Brian Burns have a half sack?
No, he had a whole sack. Like Brian Burns, like he was one of the best players on the field. Nacho, Raheem Nunez, Roches, he had a half sack. So let's just say, like, our defensive line really destroyed their offensive line. Like, it wasn't no contest. Sean Watson, even though he didn't look good when he had a clean pocket, he didn't have anywhere to throw the ball unless he was throwing to Amari Cooper.
Right. And Amari Cooper made some tough, well, except for that one in the end zone, where he just shook him. Next thing you know, he was
Yeah.
wide open.
Yeah.
Banks struggled, like you said earlier, in the show.
When the woman said she would like to see the same defensive play, I hope so, because we're going to talk about Dallas a little later. Matter of fact, we probably talk about Dallas next. It's going to be a short show. I don't really have that much. Like, we pretty much dominated Cleveland. I don't even have any. You know how I have like the key players for us, have the key players for them. I didn't even make no slides for them. There will be no Cleveland Browns slide tonight. Not on no Victory Tuesday. Like, on Victory Tuesdays, I'm saving everything for the New York Giants. It's not like they didn't have anybody to do anything over there except for Amari Cooper, and he was definitely teaching Banks some lessons on how to play corner and what a real wide receiver looks like, because he was shaking Banks' boots all game. Yeah. Like, first half and second half. He had 2 touchdowns as well. I think he had more yards than Malik Neighbors. I think they had around the same amount of catches, like 7 or 8. But yeah, the best wide receiver on the field, like, it arguably wasn't Malik Neighbors that day. It was Cooper, but he's a veteran. I expect that from him. He's one of the best route runners in the entire NFL.
Burns wasn't even. I thought he wasn't going to play, because when they were doing the pregame show, they had it up there that he was out. I said, out? He's not going to play? And the next thing you know,
I think
playing, he killing.
Yeah, I think he popped up on the injury report with like a groin injury, but hey, man, I saw him in warm-ups. He was hopping around in the end zone, did a little Euro step layup on the goalpost. I was like, oh yeah, Brian Burns is playing. He's straight. I didn't know he was going to have a monster game like he was having, but yeah, man, he was killing. Let me see if anybody in the chat got anything to say.
And also the Giants. This was the second game in which we've scored 3 touchdowns, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
That, and so once you can get that, you can get the defense to step up. You have a decent chance. Time of possession was in our favor. This time we had 2, maybe even 3 long drives, which was good. And I think that helps to keep the defense fresh, right?
Yep, absolutely. I was actually going to bring that up next. When I switch over to the team stats, as you can see, like, our defense have, like, we'll talk about Cleveland now, even though I don't have any of their key players up here. Like, they only had 217 total yards. Like, that's nuts. 148 passing yards, 69 rushing yards. Let me scroll down. Like, the third down efficiency was pretty much the same. Fourth down, we stopped them twice on fourth down. The total amount of plays was around the same. But like you said, that time of possession, like at the bottom of the screen, the time of possession was pretty much 34 minutes to 26. Remember the game before that against Washington, it was completely flipped. Washington had the ball pretty much the whole game. Like, they had it more than we had it against Cleveland. I think they had it for almost 40 minutes. Like, that's pretty much unheard of in the NFL. That don't usually happen, especially since we only lost by a field goal. So, that doesn't usually happen. I didn't expect the defense to play like they played, the other day, though. Like, they was, like Wonder Woman said, like, they was on a mission. Like, you could tell that, like, I don't know if Dexter Lawrence got really pissed, because I don't know, the way that the interviews go, it seemed like they definitely respect Dexter Lawrence, and he's so good that, he's pretty much the anchor and the emotional, person for the defense this year.
Sure.
Daniel Jones is only sacked twice. I want to talk about, even though I don't have their players up here, Myles Garrett. you could tell he still may be the best pass rusher in the game. I know T.J. Watt from Pittsburgh has something to say about that. A couple other players, but Myles Garrett is a monster. Like, I believe that we have the best left tackle in the league, or maybe the second best after Trent Williams in San Francisco. I think Andrew Thomas is one of, or the best left tackle in the game, and Myles Garrett pressured Daniel Jones, I believe, 7 times. No sacks, I don't think, but 7 times being pressured on the left-hand side. For reference, I think the last time Andrew Thomas gave up more than 4 was his rookie season.
Wow.
So that's how dominant, even though I don't want to say dominant because he didn't get, it's not like he wrecked the game, but
Right.
to go against Andrew Thomas and to get 7 pressures on your quarterback, that is saying something about Myles Garrett. That's all I'm saying. Like, if we didn't have Andrew Thomas, say if this was last year after we got hurt and Myles Garrett had to go up against the people that we was putting at left tackle, we had Justin Pugh at left tackle at one point. Off the couch.
I remember that.
He doing podcasts like us now. He ain't even on no team. But salute to Justin Pugh. Like, he came out of retirement to, help us out.
Yeah.
Help us out. But, if you ever want to be on the show, more than welcome. I respect you, bro. But yeah, he is not Andrew Thomas. So it was just glad to see, even though they had a monster on the other side, we were still able to move the ball, and Daniel Jones still had a clean pocket the whole game.
Yes, he did. And he looked more sure of himself. He looked more confident. Yeah. He looked good. I just don't want the Giants to get too comfortable.
Yeah, I've been trying to talk people off the ledge for the last 2 days.
You like Daniel Jones, but for 2 years. Wait, no, this is our second year doing the show. You like Daniel Jones?
I do. You know why I like him? Because he isn't broken. I like people that are resilient.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I don't think he's very good, that's not the point I'm making.
Right.
Like, it's not like he's my favorite player and I think Daniel Jones is the future of the team or anything like that.
Right.
But for people who get beat up like he get beat up, who get hurt like he get hurt, he is still the first person there and the last person to leave.
Yes.
He hasn't lost the locker room, so you could tell that even though he's been bad all these years, the fact that people or his teammates still respect him should tell you what Daniel Jones is as a person.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
You're right about that. Yep.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Quarterbacks fail and the locker room just completely turn on. Like, you can feel it.
Yeah.
But then none of them has turned on Daniel Jones. So that's saying something to me.
Yeah.
But, him as a person doesn't mean, I think he's going to be the quarterback in the future. Yes, I do think he should and will be replaced after this season. But, at least he's not a jerk or some type of asshole at quarterback being bad at the same time.
Right.
He's still a leader over there. Salute to Almighty Finesse.
So,
If we beat Dallas, now we talking. Like, that. This completely different conversation we need to have if we end up 2-2. And
that's a tough situation because you, like, as a fan, you want to win every game you can. But then when you look in, I'm not a GM though, but when you look at long term, you like, look, don't win more than 4 games.
But you got to think about what during the season or the beginning of the season, we didn't think we was going to win more than 4 or 5 games anyway.
Yeah.
At least I didn't. So even though we beat Cleveland when technically a lot of people didn't think we had to, that don't mean we're going to beat some of the teams that we thought we should beat.
No, but if you beat Dallas, though, that's keeping hope alive because now there's a 1-3 and 2-2 is totally different.
I'm always torn with that because I know the team isn't going anywhere in terms of like playoffs and Super Bowl and stuff like that.
Right.
You need a quarterback, but as a fan, how do you root for losses this early in the season?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Like, it hasn't even been a month. This is game 3, and people are talking about, damn, we won. in week 3.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people hate that we won. They want because they want like you want Daniel Jones out of here. They don't even want they don't want the owner or Joe Shane, the GM, or Brian Dable to even think or have any type of inkling that Daniel Jones should be our quarterback for the future.
I
So they
feel
like,
that
yeah,
too, but
lose all of them.
no, I want us to win and still get a new quarterback. I don't know.
Right.
It don't really work like that, but
Right. It don't work like that, but yeah, that's the dilemma. Like it's almost I can't root for my team to lose this early. Now, Steph, if we get into like week 7 and we 1-6, you would yeah, as a host, I would be a completely different person. Yeah, lose everything. Like it's a wrap. We're not doing nothing. Sit everybody. Salute to J Tap. Salute to I never want my team to lose. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. It's hard for me to root for losses this early. Now and plus even when I root for losses late in the season to get a high draft pick, the losses still piss me off though. Because it ain't up to me. I just, as a fan, you just can wish, hope, stuff like that, and you can see the big picture. But them players there's no tanking in football.
No.
It's not like basketball where people have like organizational, the organization will tank. So they'll like sit this person, sit that person. Players don't tank for one. Right. Football players definitely don't tank.
Right.
Like you get hurt, you have to play 100% at all times. Now, if Daniel Jones, remember what we was talking about last week, his injury clause, like if he gets hurt,
yes,
$25 million next year, right? But if Daniel Jones is playing like he played the last 2 games, and even if we're not winning, say if we're losing, but he doesn't look terrible, they're not going to sit him. Like that's not going to. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, they're not going to sit him.
I don't. Almighty finesse. I like Cam Ward too. I talked about him a little bit earlier. Good arm talent, smart kid. It's a little weird that this is like his 3rd team that he's playing for, but I don't think it's strictly because of him. I think he just wants to win and find the right spot with the NIL and the transfer rules. This is like his 3rd team with the Hurricanes. But yeah, I like the arm talent for Cam Ward. But yeah, Daniel Jones, I don't think he's going to be the future, but it's just hard for me to think about losses right now. I want to be Dallas ass on Thursday.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's why I'm doing the weekly show on Wednesday for those who will be doing a weekly show for those who can make it. So I want to watch that game Thursday night for sure.
Yep. So it's hard for me to root for losses. So we can talk about Dallas for a little bit before we get out of here. I just got a couple slides for the team stats, and I got a video by one of the beat reporters that we have, and then we can get out of here because it's a little after 10. Everybody enjoy their night. Giants is 1-2. We didn't score that many points, even though our offense obviously looked good. Last week, I think we were 30th. We're only 29th still in points scored. But look at the defense, the last two stats. Like we've moved up to 18th and 15th in terms of defense with points against and yards just because of that last game. Like we were in the mid to late 20s just last week. So that's how dominant the defense was on Sunday. And I already said that these numbers, it's early in the season, so these numbers are kind of fleeting. Like it doesn't really mean like your team is this yet. These will get better like in the middle of the season. They will be like more accurate or be more like your team identity, if that makes sense. Not really now. Like I don't think even though our offense hasn't looked good, we're not the 29th worst offense in the league.
Right.
No way. I don't believe that. Now, with Dallas, it is just the opposite. They actually do have one of the best offenses in the league.
Look at that. Top
10 in points scored and yards per game. I don't have like their passing and running. I don't usually put those up there, but they're definitely like top 5 in passing if they're not like 1 or 2. Dak is having a great year so far. CeeDee Lamb is having a good year. Their defense is their problem. That's why they're 1-2. People are running all over them. So I expect maybe if Daniel Jones doesn't have a good game, I expect Devin Singletary to. I think the spread on is, I think the Dallas is favored by might be less than a touchdown. And the number is actually getting lower by the day. I think it might be 5 now. So they actually think that the Giants are going to, have a very good game against them.
It's in Dallas, right?
No, hold on, let me check real quick. I actually think is we're at home. Yeah, we're at home on Thursday. Yeah, so it's going to be prime time Thursday night game at MetLife Stadium, man. It's going to, the city's going to be buzzing, or at least the suburbs of New Jersey, going to be buzzing at the stadium. It's going to be a good night, man. I got a quick video with Connor Hughes, reporter for SNY. I mean, like, very good beat reporter. He's one of my favorites. He actually gets the information. It's not usually a lot of drama with him. He doesn't ask dumb questions. That really bothers me. But I actually like Connor Hughes, and he's talking about, like, the injury report.
There's good news and there's bad news as it pertains to the Giants secondary ahead of Thursday night's divisional battle with the Dallas Cowboys. We'll start with the bad news first. Adoree Jackson and Drew Phillips, 2 key pieces of this secondary. It does not sound like either of those guys are going to play. Brian Daboll didn't necessarily rule them out on Tuesday, but considering they couldn't even practice in the walkthrough, it seems highly unlikely that they are able to go. That is not the case for cornerback Nick McLeod, who's missed the first couple of games with the knee injury. I caught up with him in the locker room. He said he's feeling good, really started to feel himself last Friday. He expects to play and expects to make plays. Now, McLeod or no McLeod, Phillips and a Jackson or no Phillips and Jackson, it's probably going to be tough sledding for the Giants secondary in prime time. This Cowboys passing attack, it is one of the best in the league. CeeDee Lamb, we know he can do it, receiver, and Dak Prescott leads the entire NFL in passing yards. The key for the Giants to slow them down, it's actually nothing they're going to do on defense. It's what they are going to do on offense, because the biggest weakness on this Cowboys team, which was exploited by the Baltimore Ravens, it is their run defense. They are averaging 185 yards allowed per game. That should have Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, and Eric Gray ready to feast on Thursday night. Now, is that actually the case? Singletary didn't necessarily say that in the locker room. He smiled and said, "We expect to get the Cowboys A game."
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
So, recap Cleveland. We have the Dallas Cowboys coming to MetLife Stadium in 2 days. I hope everybody ready, man. Get your popcorn. It's going to be prime time. Everybody's going to be looking at us. Yeah. So y'all already know how that is. Whether we win or lose, we still going to be, Giants fans and be up during the game. And I hope we run all over Dallas.
Yeah, it's a pivotal game to be so early in the season. I mean, you can argue that this is gonna. This is the difference. How many 1-3 teams make the playoffs?
Right, exactly.
1-3 teams end up 500.
Right, so Dallas is definitely going to bring their A game. They have to, because they're the type of team that they should, in their eyes, on their schedule, they should be 3-0. I mean, they're a playoff team. They were actually, I think they were favorited to, actually be the kings of the division, not Philly. Philly took a little step back, and if you watch Philly play, you can tell they're not the same team as they were last year. Dallas don't look the same either, though. So,
right.
So what Dwayne say? Dwayne say last year he went to the first game, not this year. Ooh, yeah. He went to that game, that 40-0 game in the rain. Ooh. Yeah, I know you was pissed, Dwayne. I'd have been mad. Can you imagine that ride home? So salute to everybody for coming out. You got any last words there?
Let's go Giants, man. That was let's see. Let's see. I really enjoyed watching that, watching that game. I'm looking forward to the Dallas game. Let's see. And as much as I want a new quarterback, if we 2-2, I'm gonna be excited. I'm gonna be excited.
the amount of junk that I'm going to talk. I know a lot of Cowboys fans, so every time they beat us, Dallas has owned us for like a decade.
I was about to say, I think we've won one time in the past 14 matchups going back to 2017.
I got to look up to think that has Dak even ever lost to us?
Right, because 2017 he wasn't. Was he there?
I don't remember. Yeah, he had to have been there.
Yeah.
Or if he did lose to us, it hasn't been that many. Let's just say that.
The Giants have won only one of their last 14 games against Dallas. They go back to 2017.
Yep, 14. Yep. So that's 7 years. Yep.
So he was probably there. And they're 1-2 as well. They lost their last two. So he's right. Singletary they gonna be on there. We're gonna get their best.
Salute J Taz, we only beat them in the playoffs when it counts.
The 2 games one was in the playoffs.
I remember them days. Those were some good times, man. Eli went there twice and beat them at home. But yeah, salute to everybody in the chat. J-Tap, Dwayne, Wonder Woman, all the regulars. Kareem was in here earlier. Tone was Nicks and Bruises was the first comment. Salute. I think that was it's Almighty Finesse, of course. So salute to everybody, man. Like,
Salute.
Don't be afraid. Talk your junk. You still got 2 days before that Dallas game, so get all your shit talking in for now. You got 48 hours to get all this junk talking. Get your wings on Thursday night and enjoy the game. And we out.
We out.
Thank you.